challenge, and it's not just for women trying to reach the top, for whom this is a challenge. Any group that is different than the majority would face some obstacles in reaching the top. So what we saw both elements that work, that I can talk about, and things that maybe can be improved upon. For example, something that works in some of these firms was the transparency, right? So the fact that some of the promotion criteria are made transparent, that helps everybody. One of our respondents said, written criteria, it's helpful for everyone. It helps the managers frame the conversation with the candidates, and it takes the ambiguity and the guesswork out of the conversation for the subordinates. So that's something that is also shown by research. Companies that actually have more transparent criteria and compensation processes actually have lower inequality in terms of men and women for compensation and promotion rates. So that was one. The second aspect is accountability of the decisions. And this is a little bit tricky to understand, but if you think about how the promotion process works and how difficult actually is in reality to evaluate the performance of somebody going up for promotion to a managing director position. Performance is actually very difficult. It's multidimensional. It's difficult to evaluate. Some aspects are very hard to quantify. So it becomes actually what is known as it's a cognitively difficult task. It's hard to actually make these judgments. In conditions like this, people tend to revert on shortcuts, rules of thumb, such as fit, right? Do I think that this person is similar to others who are already in positions like that? And these shortcuts typically don't lead or end in the best decisions for the company. How can we avoid them? They're not unavoidable. And research has shown, for example, that just making people accountable for their decisions motivates them to engage in a bit more of a analytically complex process. They reason more, they seek disconfirming evidence, so they actually take into account more information and in more complex ways to reach a better decision. And the last element that I would say is very important is an increased emphasis on career communication, by which I mean discussing career plans, offering coaching and development between managers and subordinates in these companies. Our respondents basically painted a picture in which these conversations, if they happen, are very much individually driven. They happen at the initiative of the candidate. They're a bit haphazard, a bit idiosyncratic. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't happen. So at the same time, they talk about mentorship and support and guidance being a very key factor in supporting somebody's career. At the same time, if one gets that support, it's going to be dependent solely on the manager one happens to be working for. If that person can offer guidance and help, that is great. But if not, if the person is unlucky and the manager is not available to offer those kind of help, the system cannot compensate for that. One thing I would advise women is to focus on explicitly having these career conversations, because in a business in which so much of one's performance is evaluated through the prism of how others see it, sort of as seen by others, it is very important for the person to understand what those others' expectations are, and also to lay out their own targets and plans for reaching them. And why I focus on this as opposed to other areas of the promotion process, because in fact there's a lot of research showing that women tend to be disadvantaged when there is ambiguity about the bargaining range and about the standards for negotiation, for agreement. So in fact, when women don't know exactly very well what is expected and how much they can push for, they tend to set lower targets. At the same time, when those parameters are clear, when what is possible is made explicit, they are as ambitious as the men. So it comes down to actually being able to have those conversations, but for that, it helps to have several things in motion. I would say a couple of sort of concrete steps. One is actually ask the manager to lay out clearly their expectations, clearly, fully, and continuously, their expectations for what the job is about, how to achieve good performance, and also try to find out both the formal and the informal rules of the game. Another piece of that plan would be to actually be able to communicate one's aspirations, state what you'd like to achieve, by when, why, what drives you, and so make sure that those are heard by the counterparts, by mentors and managers. And third, I talk about mentors and managers because I think it's really important that for people to enlist the help of others in constructing a map for reaching their objectives. It doesn't happen by themselves. It doesn't happen just by doing it in your corner. So try to get helpful others to help you construct a framework for developing your career inside the company and beyond. And I would say finally that if there's one thing that this research study taught us is really that there is no, it's never too late to have these career conversations. You're never too old to have them, because it seems that in fact these career conversations are more and more necessary as one is actually getting closer to the top.